she, like, for a while we've had it optional, like,
can see why.
in common areas you have to wear it, but if you're in a room where everybody's wearing it, you can take it off.
Quite.
Never saw her whole face until like 2 weeks ago. Like, oh my God.
Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the school committee meeting of March 22nd, 2022. Take a motion to open the meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Amanda, second by Trista. All in favor?
Aye.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Moment of silence. Thank you. As always, I'd like to thank EBCAM for their time and energy in making sure our meetings are broadcast to the good citizens of East Bridgewater, so thank you, EBCAM. And first on our agenda tonight is a report from the East Bridgewater High School Student Advisory Council rep, who is unable to join us tonight, but we have Dr. Williams.
Thank you. So in Lucy's absence, I will read to you her report. First off, Central School has many acceleration academies that are going on Mondays and Wednesday afternoons and Tuesday and Thursday mornings. Mrs. Rocher and Mrs. Monroe's classes just finished up their 5 weeks of WaterWise lessons. And next week, Ms. Bieberman and Mrs. Pauline's classrooms will start the last cycle of the program, and then all of second grade will have had WaterWise at the YMCA. At the Mitchell School, all students grades 3 through 6 are attending presentations by the guidance department in Boston versus Bullies this month. MCAS testing is approaching. Grade 6 will kick off things on March 30th with their ELA testing. And they are continuing their March Madness Reading Challenge that continues through the end of the month. So for all students to keep reading. And then at the junior senior high school, they recently had March Madness with the class of 2022 winning. This went well and students and staff were happy and they felt back to normal. The 7 through 12 had their first whole school fundraiser with Cupcake Charlie's and they sold about 4,500 cupcakes. The leading grade was the class of 2023 with 1,300 cupcakes. Mr. EBHS concluded March Madness week with senior Andrew DeChico winning the crown, and he was fabulous on the saxophone. I'm just going to add that piece. Thank you to Mr. Chilcott for the shirts, EBCAM for filming, Mr. EBHS and March Madness, Robin Aylwood, who was the photographer, for capturing every moment perfectly, EB Boosters, the music parents, and Viking sports parents for their donations, and she has McG, Mrs. McGovern and Ms. Lasley for facilitating all the madness that happened. And then finally, All Shook Up is Friday night at 7 p.m. and Saturday at 5 p.m. and tickets will be available at the door.
And the Unified team, did you read that?
Was there Jamboree in the last one? No?
Unified, it was Jamboree
Happened during the week of, during the week of March Madness. Our Unified basketball team hosted Abington and Carver,
Yep.
I believe.
Yes.
And EB swept. So that was great. And Mr. Leonard had the winter athletic banquet on Sunday as well. So it definitely was a week of madness.
Excellent. I don't think we've met since the girls' basketball team was eliminated, but it was nice to see the run they went on and
was awesome.
caught the last few seconds of their game, their last meeting, and the energy and spirit of that group was fantastic.
You couldn't believe how we took 2 fan buses up. I think we had about 120 kids ride the bus, and other kids had driven up. The atmosphere at Medway was phenomenal. The kids, I can't say enough. I've told everybody, I cannot say enough about our kids and Medway kids. Just the spirit of the competition and being at that level. There was no. They had some fun things at halftime. They did a tug of war with the boys and the girls. They did a fastest kid in Medway or fastest kid in EB. It was just really nice, and like the 2 mascots had gone out at one point. It was just cute, and the kids. It's just really nice when that happens. I think it boosts morale for the kids. I think it was a nice boost after the masks come off, and spring is around the corner, and it was just really nice. And the girls, they competed well. They played well. They really did.
Very proud of themselves. That's great. Excellent. Yeah. Superintendent's corner.
Yep. So you got my goals in front of you. I sent them to Tim yesterday. These are things that we've been talking about most of the time, but now you put them down, and we felt that these were in there. Professional practice is really it's all of what I do, but review results of assessments taken, identify different strengths, curriculum implications, and steps for improvement. In that area, I'll give you what we do, how we do it, how we vet it, how's it come through. Continue to develop a culture of inclusion, tolerance, and diversity, as well as continue to support students of color. I'm a big proponent of I want inclusion across this district in every way, whether it is for LGBTQ, whether it is for a minority student, ethnic background, race, creed. We need to be tolerant of all and be inclusive of all. And we probably will need an audit at some time, and we're looking into that. And we will continue to look at that, but, where's our strengths, what are our weaknesses in those areas, and we're going to continue to keep moving them. Review results from the assessment. This, because of the pandemic and everything, I know that you've asked me to do this a couple of times. We've got this information, but during the pandemic, it was a little bit difficult, so I'll have a little bit of leeway there. But review results from an assessment, I read in Dibbles, I think I spelled that wrong, test taking grade 3 through 6 and K through 2, and by 15-year-olds who take the MCAS. So I can give you some diagnostic assessment on that. And again, we're looking at what are we doing with our strengths? Is the curriculum and the frameworks that we use hooked up to these tests? Are they complementing for our students? Do they complement? Can we read their achievements with the assessment data? And what's the curriculum doing for us? Create acceleration academies for both at-risk and students to advance. That's on both sides. We started that this year. We've been talking about that since I've been here. I've always wanted to run camps during, February vacation, April vacation, the summer vacation. We've got a grant for it this year. It was a little bit easier. I think we'll continue to do that, and we'll try to find a way to get that in the budget over the next, years after the pandemic. I did ask Dr. Williams to bring, to talk to Ms. Linehan, who was the coordinator or director of the Acceleration Academy. And they're trying to put a date for when best for her to come in and talk to you about how the students were chosen and what they gained from it. And then we'll have, over February vacation was our first one, we'll be able to give some assessments of how they did coming out of there. And we can see that trend moving towards the April vacation, then again hit it in April, and then come back around in June and talk to you a little bit about the students who went to the academies, got a 10% gain against their peers who did not. But we also want to, I see you're looking at the bottom. Yeah, it's just how it prints out on.
No, it's the date is when Desi created
Yeah, I
it.
know, it's when they created it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I just go from year to year and just keeps taking stuff out and putting them in. And this is what they still have to give you. We also want to do students on the other side who may be doing really, really well in a class, and we want to offer something that they may not ever be able to get to. Maybe like, drone flying, drone come in and watch someone, have someone come in who's a pilot, teach the kids how to fly a drone, and then maybe to get their pilot's license. Those are courses that are out there, and there'd be something good for the kids to do. We completed the strategic plan. That was a district improvement. I left that on there. That was sort of last year's as well, but we were working on that. We were in the pandemic. It is complete. Dr. Williams will talk about that tonight, but the district improvement, why, when, where, and how we get there. And then create an alternative learning program for early college and school to work certificate and diploma programs. That's been on my, that's been a conversation that we've had all year. However, last year we had started to talk the conversation, but I think it's something that is readily, it's on our laps, and talking to Desi and the Superintendent's Association just last week, early college is the next pillar of the Department of Education. They're going to be putting huge grant money in on that side. We've applied for the first grant. That grant, we were not awarded. A lot of northern schools got, northwest schools got it, nobody on the South Shore, so we'll come back around, he's gonna open it up again, ours can stay in there with the consortium, so we'll see. Yeah, and then, of course, as always, other goals that are under professional practice, student learning district is to get a new CBA with the professional staff.
And so, you know, and I know I've said this before, but just for clarity for the committee, that, you know, it is a little weird that we're going over this in late March. That is solely my fault. I believe that goals had been brought up and passed at the training that we went to, which I was not a part of, and it completely slipped my mind. So, you know, Liz and I talked about, you know, these goals really encompass a lot of different things that she does over the course of the year. And it's nice to see that we're focusing on teaching and learning and student achievement. Again, you know, these conversations, we haven't really been able to have them as a committee for a couple of years now, so it's nice to be able to start focusing on student achievement and performance again. I'll be interested to see, and I don't know if you found the same thing, I was on a conference call last week with some other districts' principals, and we were talking about how our progress monitoring systems that we use for STAR and iReady, the students, for last year's MCAS, we had many more students were meeting or exceeding the standard than what our data was indicating we're likely to have. So we were looking at, I think my school, we were looking at 35% of my kids meeting or exceeding in third and fourth grade, and 54% of them did. And the other principal I was talking to had a similar result. And I don't know if it's the one-day MCAS, if the way they structured the test last year. I don't know what to make out of that, but I'd be interested to see if this year's, you know, what that data indicates. I don't know if East Bridgewater felt the same way with the iReady, that there was a gap between what you anticipated for student achievement and what ended up being the case.
So can you say that again?
Okay, so
Your iReady,
so you look at
data was higher than
so
your MCAS?
MCAS achievement was higher than what our progress monitoring
MCAS
was
was higher.
indicating was likely to be. So a lot of the schools were seeing 10 to 15% of their kids meeting or exceeding the standard more than what their progress monitoring systems were indicating were likely to be.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, ultimately, you want your iReady to be an indicator of how
Right.
successful they're going to be on MCAS, so that's a better problem to
Right.
have.
Oh, yeah, it was better than having it be the other way around, for
Right.
sure.
I'd be more curious about the areas in which students performed on like the actual items, the test items, and what things
Yep.
they're doing well on or not, or doing poorly on in iReady, and if those things still
Sure.
reflected in MCAS. I think it's kind of hard to look at last year's MCAS because
Right.
of all the conditions surrounding, you know, the pandemic, and whether the test may have looked a little bit different than it would in normal
right.
years. But ideally, that's exactly why we do the diagnostics.
I'd love to hear next
Indicator.
fall about what does your data tell you in terms of, is there a close correlation between the iReady results and what you see in MCAS achievement?
iReady has all of that research
Yeah.
that they've done, and that's.
No, I mean,
kind of
for
their
you in
selling-
East Bridgewater,
Right,
you
right.
feel, yeah.
So then we have to look to see, you know, what
Yeah.
is the difference between the two. But
Yeah.
what makes it a little bit challenging for us is, especially at Central School, there is no standardized test to compare it against, so it's really just we're looking at Mitchell School students. But definitely, that's the
Right.
whole purpose for it, so that we're knowing what we need to prepare students for.
And when you brought up Mitchell School, the true test is the Mitchell School. And I can't, Andrew, Mr. Gentile, he really has, this is his time of year. He likes the MCAS. I mean, it's what he has.
Right.
I mean, that's his big tool, along with the iReady, but the MCAS becomes his tool, and it was for many years when he didn't have diagnostic. But he and I and Jen talk a lot about item analysis and where the kids flying high and then where they drop out on that. And he looked at it last year, and they changed a little bit of the fourth grade. I believe it was in fourth grade. They changed where they did something in the year. And that's what we do. He's the best indicator because he has so many grades that he sees.
Right.
So the nice part is we can tell, you know, is our math curriculum Is it abutting, or is it going away from it? We can tell on the reading right away what that looks like, as you know. But the item analysis has proven to do, he does a really nice job on that. And I know that he and Jen McPartlin go out there, and they're in data meetings, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, talking about these things, getting ready for MCAS. I think he just went over and did all the management piece with his teachers this week, last week and this week. So, but we'll be able to see some of that, and I'll be able to give some.
I didn't mean to sidetrack us, I just thought it was great to be able to be talking about student achievement and
Yeah.
the data again, so thank you.
Kim, I have a question.
Yes.
So have you decided, are we going to be evaluating the superintendent on all of the standards and indicators? Because that isn't before us, and I'm assuming that you've decided.
So it's not for me to decide, it's for the committee to decide, but in the past, we had a vote that was not necessarily a valid one or a clear one. So if we're going to have a vote on what we're evaluating on, we should probably do that a little closer to May. So there are a lot of different standards on the evaluation system, and typically,
Indicators.
a lot of indicators, sorry.
I can send them out.
You know, I have my own feelings on this, but we can talk about it as a committee. I think the whole document should be utilized, but we can have a discussion about that as a committee, maybe closer to May. I mean, we're not writing anything up before May, so there's no reason to worry about it right now. I know you feel strongly differently, Ellen, so we can talk about it in the spring. Anything else related to goals? No. Okay.
The second piece is we came to you 2 weeks ago about the school budget. So the good news is we have a tentative agreement with the EBA, the East Bridgewater Teachers Association, Certified Teachers Association. We have a tentative agreement, but in that agreement, it has pushed the budget up from where we were and what we had proposed to the public hearing 2 weeks ago. We went back in and we revised. So you voted on, or you have not voted yet, but what was given to the, and presented at the school committee meeting, FY23 proposed budget at the public hearing on March 22nd, 2022, was $23,407,473. That was what we had put up on the board for the public hearing. We then went into EB negotiations tentatively, and I think that was 3-2. I think that's a mistake. The public hearing was the second, I believe, right? Sorry. Tentative agreement on 3/15, which was last week. We came with a revised budget on 3/15/2022 with a $200,000 addition. So it went from 23,407 to 23,607,473. We then, that night, after we got this agreement done on the 15th, we presented to the FinCom at 6 p.m. on March 15th, 2022. We presented the number $23,607,473. Tonight, I ask that we take this vote on the revised amount of the FY23 budget dated March 22nd, 2022, from $23,407,473 to a revised amount from 3/15/2022, which was presented to FinCom. And now it is in your plate to certify your number to send to, for the town meeting at $23,607,473.
So just for clarity, the committee, the only factor for that change from what we heard last time was just the increase in the CBA costs. No other expenditures, no other positions, nothing other than that CBA. Any questions for Liz about?
Just the public hearing, I think, was the 8th.
It was the 8th.
Oh, the 8th, not the 2nd.
I was thinking about that too, yep. Okay, thank you, Liz. Reports and discussions.
You're not going to take that now?
I was just going to do it with our action items.
Oh, okay.
If you want.
That's all right.
We'll just put on the list of action items when we do
Okay.
that.
I just want to make sure we've got the,
Yep, no, it's on there, I checked.
okay, the revised amount going up.
Program of studies.
So, Bill is not here this evening. However, his programs of studies is done, and it was revised on March 4th. Obviously, he's put that up. He will come to the next meeting if anybody has any questions. We thought it best to give it to you now, so you can just take a look at it. And then if you had any questions coming back, he can certainly answer those questions. And if you have any questions that you would like, you can email him, or actually, you should email them to me, and then I will bring them to him, and he will come and answer all your questions that night. Instead of trying to go through this, like page by page, or looking for something that you might not see tonight, take it home, peruse it. You can send your questions to me, and I will give them to Bill, and he'll come in, and he'll do it at the school committee.
Like the flow charts.
Yeah. Can I ask a quick question, only because I think you might know the answer? No pressure. And I know this wasn't part of the changes. It's, how often are the course offerings at the high school kind of evaluated and, is this what we need? Do we need to bring in something else? Do we not need this class anymore? Like, how often does that?
Yeah, so annually,
Okay.
and it's with
More
the
than you think.
The lead of each department will meet
Okay.
with Mr. Clements, Mrs. Clifford as the guidance chair, and myself. And that's kind of the way we'll go through it. You know, this is what you currently have in the program of studies, what has not run just because it hasn't been popular, and what new additions they want to bring on. And usually it's based on the interest that they see of students, so they add more sections of things if there's, certain courses that tend to get locked out once the process opens up. The other is just teachers coming forward with, new course ideas. And in the last couple of years, we've had new additions specifically in the social studies area, but it is reviewed annually. And I think, one of the major changes you see is the flow charts, because that's kind of always been the area of confusion for kids, that they get to junior year or senior year and like, ugh, I should have taken, I should have doubled up, or so that's really good. It also fits in with the early college incentives, so that as we start to bring that in, students can start thinking about, what they might see themselves doing post-grad and what courses they should be taking along the way to get them prepared for that. Or certificate programs for students that might want to go into that. I think the other major change you'll see, and I think it was talked about a few years ago, in the PE department, to have at the 11th and 12th grade level specific topics that the students want to be more invested in, as opposed to just PE 11, so they can choose, specific areas of focus, whether it's weightlifting or team sports. So I think the kids get really excited about that it's not just your typical gym class.
Gym class,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's more about their health and wellness as they get into adulthood.
Yeah, thank you.
I think you'll hear more about, I think this will be more revised now, over the next few years, especially coming out of a pandemic and seeing what kids can,
Right.
what they can do, what we can do, and what we can offer on the alternative side. And I say alternative because everybody just knows, phys ed, math, social studies, science, English, art,
Right.
and maybe a CADS program. Our CADS program, that's something that we really need to put some time into. Dr. Williams and I have been talking about this. We should have a certificate program down there. I've been here, this is going into my 7th year. I've been asking, and now that I've scratched the surface about everything else, now I'm gonna dig on Bill to really look at that. This building was built, and the premise was built when we told people that we were gonna build the new high school, which I was not here for, but when it was built, it was, we can do some of these programs that Southeastern's doing here. We're not doing that, we don't offer a certificate. So we've got to figure out, Dr. Williams has to figure out, along with Mr. Clements, and what CTE can we offer here? What certificates can we do? I spoke to Captain Kelly and Chief Aaron a while back, and then Captain Kelly again. He's in constant conversation with us about the fire academy, but we're also looking at, we'd like every student to walk across that stage with CPR. every high school student should leave with some type of CPR. I mean, people still die of heart attacks on a daily basis, and so it's first aid and CPR. If we could give a card to every student that left, those are types of things that we're talking about alternative. But I think you're going to see a lot of this have some movement over the next couple of years, just because of what our teachers have done and now are able to do. And possibly even have some of our teachers even teach some of these early college programs through Assumption, through Bridgewater State, through Massasoit, through UMass Dartmouth, through whoever we decide to have work with us in the consortium, so.
Liz, I know, again, Bill will be here,
Yep.
Mr. Flint will be here, but looking at the last page, or page, and
Yep.
that's really nice to see. I mean, I know it's been there, but the guidance and support service
Yep.
for the students, and I know it's been updated because I see some of the,
Yeah.
like the 7th grade, the, mindfulness and all of that. And I do believe, as we've touched on before, that we do now have guidance staff that is embracing this, and this is a good pathway for them to work with our kids.
Yeah, and I think, Trista, I went back, I think guidance was a goal a year or two ago.
Last year.
And
And before.
I pull them out, and I go through them to make sure I don't hit the same thing, but that was something that you had, the entire board of when whatever the makeup is today, wasn't the last time. It was a thorn. They were nice people, but we needed to overhaul the office. And some people don't like to do those types of things. We had to do that. And we've got a nice cast of educators in there. They are young, they are energetic, they're all over the building. I think they rode the fan buses, because I saw 3 or 4 of them up at the game. They're intertwined with the student body, and I know that they're meeting with teachers as well, as Bill alluded to today in a meeting that we had. Our adjustment counselors down there with them, they're constantly all informed, they're working together, they have a nice relationship. Dr. Williams works a little bit more with them than I, but we had a meeting a week ago on early college. They were all here, they sat with me, and telling them, like, this is a vision of the district. This is one of my visions that I want to see to come to fruition, that we can get some college credits for these kids, for our students, for our kids that are going to graduate, so that maybe you don't have to, maybe your first bill at college, instead of $15,000 a year, might be $12,000 a year. I mean, any little bit helps, and we all know that. So, and I think it also gives students confidence that they can achieve and they can do this, or become a fireman, or become a CNA, or become a teacher. Gina did have a conversation with Bridgewater State last week. We do a lot with their student teaching program. Now we're going to be looking at, how do we get kids to go into education? Because a lot of people are not going into education for whatever reason, and it's a wonderful profession. So, but thank you, I appreciate that. And
No, and just to follow up.
we can see it. We can see it from.
I actually met with one of the guidance counselors this week, Zach's obviously, and I was very impressed. Mr. Patty, I'll name him, had reached out to me proactively a couple times at the end of term just to congratulate me on, Zach's diligence and his grades, which that's not normally when you hear from a guidance counselor. And, I went in to meet with him just to basically thank him for engaging Zach. Zach had met with him, and just, it was such a positive experience that I wanted to mention it here, because I know historically in years past, there's been a lot of push and pull with guidance, and what is guidance supposed to be doing, what could they be doing, all of this, and I really feel there's a lot of, continued effort that needs to happen to get to that place. But for parents who have had that frustration with guidance, either directly or because of, challenges that their student has had, I really feel that things have turned around, and I would encourage parents to reach out to their child's guidance counselor to just make a connection and meet, because I think there's a lot of good things that are happening and are going to continue to happen.
I mean, you can certainly feel that the vibe at the high school is turning around. The kids are very engaged in everything that's going on up here. So that's a nice feeling to see 7 through 12 doing things together. I don't see too many 7th graders throwing a football with a 12th grader. It just, you don't see that. Because it doesn't happen. As a former high school principal and a former middle school principal, it just doesn't, that's not their thing. But what we are seeing is that everybody goes to the assembly. Everybody's going to March Madness. Everybody's going to go out onto the field. Everybody's going to go to the auditorium. No matter what Mr. Clements has going on during the day, if he feels it's appropriate for 7th and 8th, they're going to be in. If he feels it's appropriate for his seniors to be something 7th and 8th grade had, he brings them in. So I think that, it's a whole culture shift. That it's not just, one group, 9 through 12 or 7 through 8, it's a school, and we all are gonna, we're gonna go in the same direction. I did want to bring up Mitchell School, though. I forgot about Boston for bullies, versus bullies. It was down in Mitchell School. I was able to see the program, and this is former athletes through Boston, and a company brings them in. They're up on the screen, and they interview like there was Patriots up there. There were hockey players. One of the women's soccer players was up there. That went to the Olympics. They're just talking about being kind. And about bullies, how do you get out of these situations when somebody bullies you? And if you don't like what somebody says to you, what are some actions that you can do? And it was eye-opening for myself, along with Karen Clifford was there at that one. I was standing with Mr. Gentile. One of the things that Andrew and I said to each other was very surprised of the kids in the 4th grade, it's 3rd and 4th, the questions that they asked. And I think, because I could see some of the teachers, like, a surprised look on their face, it's getting younger and younger, bullying and mean and unkind words being said. But what I think I saw, or what I hope, and I think Andrew said the same thing, we saw, his ears perked up as kids were asking questions. Does this mean I'm bullied if someone does this to me? I didn't like it when Gina said this to me, so I said I was mean back. And it was really neat because they had a nice conversation. The teachers were sitting with them, but they were, the woman that was asking the questions and moving the program along was excellent. As the day progressed, as the day went through, the nice part is the woman who was running the program would talk to Andrew and ask, is there anything you want us to put in, anything you want us to leave out? 3rd and 4th is different than 5th and 6th. So you want to make sure that both groups are going to see and be able to have afforded time to ask their questions and have them be answered. It was eye-opening because some of the things that we heard, it's sad that kids can be mean. But they were very honest, very vocal. But I thought it was great. They come back this week, right? This week?
Yes.
Come back for the 6th grade this week. And I know that Andrew has told them that he wants to talk about cyberbullying. Things on the phones and on the iPad. He said that there are groups of students that are groups, like in group chats, which I didn't know anything about. And he's just like, yeah, there's these things, these group chats, there's like 30 kids on it. And they start to gang up. So here's my message to mom and dad at home, to grandparents, to aunts and uncles, to foster parents, to who's ever taking care of a child. The phone belongs to the adult in the home, and so does the iPad. You will be charged, because now I know about it. I will put the SRO on it. I will go through them. I will put our tech people on it to look at them. And if there is a direct hit, that's probably not the best thing, a direct line from an iPad, a student's name, an adult's name that owns that iPad, or it belongs to us, there will be consequences. Cyberbullying is real. It is real. And, I mean, Andrew's just finding out about this. He says there's 30, 40 kids on the chat. And then they start to gang up on somebody, and then everybody goes. And I think that's very sad. But I'm hoping that our parents are listening, and I hope that, I'm going to go looking for it now. I didn't know about it. I'm just hearing about it. I knew there's cyberbullying, but I never knew that we had, these groups. And what happens, and good kids get on this. They're not bad kids. They're all kids, and all kids are good. They get on there, and they get into that mentality. Oh, Gina said that. Okay, I'm going to go to Gina's side. Oh, Ellen said this. I'm going to go to Ellen's side. And whoever starts to get the most people on their side, it becomes that gang mentality. And that's something that we will not ever stand for in East Bridgewater, and we'll try to combat it. But I really like this Boston vs. Bullies. I think it was good. I think they took a chance on a program. They brought the program in. They have Rachel's Challenge, but I think this was something, an additional, it was additional to bring in, so I think that was great. So I'm happy, very happy with that program. I think it opened our eyes to, I think Andrew and Deb Dupre is fantastic. She was right up in front. She's cheering it on. She's probably the kindest woman I've ever met, and she's all about that down there. She is all about, being, and we all should be kind, but that's a tough grade. Those are tough ages. They're just tough. And 7 and 8 is no prize no prize either.
Nor is
it's
high
tough. No, it's right. And it just gets tougher and tougher as they go older, and it hurts.
It
But
does.
so hopefully we can come back.
It is amazing to see. I mean, I tell parents all the time, these social media platforms generally have like a requirement that you be 14 years or older to join. And I love that only because that's really a time when kids are emotionally able to handle the back and forth on social media. 10-year-olds are not usually equipped to know what to do when someone says something negative to them, And I really, it's obviously, any kid can sign up for these things if they want it. You just click a box, I'm 14, but it's really amazing how much more of an issue it's become for these younger kids over the last 3 or 4 years.
And I talk about the adults, or parents, or grandparents, or aunts and uncles, or foster, 2 moms, 2 dads, I don't care who you live with, you're living with an adult. We had a preschooler a week ago that a conversation happened between 2 preschoolers. One was hurt the first day, then the next day the other one was hurt with words. Nobody, we don't put our hands on each other. We don't like unexpected behavior. We don't like those things down at the preschool. There is no way a 3.5-year-old child knows how to say something mean.
Right.
They're getting it from someplace. And if I have to be the voice of reason, I'm going to be. We really need to think about what we're saying in front of kids, because you don't know where that's coming. And I can tell every parent at home, whatever you say tonight at the dinner table or someplace in your house, and you've got a child that's in grades or preschool to 3rd or 4th. 4th is funny, they giggle, they think everything's funny, so they're going to bring anything up. But pre-K through 4th or 5th grade, we're going to hear about it. And people need to remember that. Your business in your home is your business, but it's going to come. And your kids are going to tell us, but these 2 little, they're babies. They're babies. They don't even know what they said, or how they said it, or why it inflicted pain on one day, and then the next day to have it just given right back in the exact same tone. They forget, remember, the 3.5, so they might not remember exactly everything, so the next day, however it comes out, it came out. So, Tim, to that, we say 14-year-olds, I just tell everybody, please, they're still kids, you're still their parents, we're still their guardians, whoever you are in a child's life.
The 14-year-olds don't usually often know how to handle it the right way either. So.
No.
All right, so program of studies, Mr. Clement will be here at the next meeting for any questions that we may have about that. Excellent. We have the second reading of the recommended changes to the policy IMG, and I didn't list that in the action item, so we can actually vote on that right now. I know we talked about this at our last meeting, so you weren't here. Are there any questions about this policy change?
No, but I just have one question, if there's anything that Liz wanted to add to it.
I went through it.
Okay.
All right, so I'd take a motion to approve the changes to policy IMG, animals in school.
So moved.
Moved by Ellen,
Seconded.
second by Scott, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
How quickly you think the dog, now that we have this policy?
So, she goes the 27th. What's the 28th? She goes for her final test. Maui is doing her final test, like next Saturday, or the following Saturday, and then we have it, she just sent it to us, and then she's going to meet
27th, March 27th.
Yeah, March 27th. So she's going to meet with us, and then what we thought we'd do is come up with some type of plan where, most likely we'll start at Central School. I would probably say the preschool is probably the best for us, plus it's right there. Should look at her schedule to see when she's off in the afternoon, like if she buds like a lunch into the afternoon, gives her a little time to pick up her dog, Maui. Or we'll bring Maui here and she'll stay in central office in her crate. And maybe I'll sit her next to John. They can sit together all day. He'll have somebody to talk to.
Please take pictures.
Yeah, we'll give him somebody to talk to because it's all women down there, and he's always like, I like being here, but it's tough with you guys. And so, but now we'll have a Maui.
Awesome.
That's another girl, so she can sit next to him. But no, Barbara wants the dog to sit next to her. So we'll see. But probably, I would say, probably maybe April, a couple times. We'll probably start preschool, but go back and forth. So.
I also heard Ellen say at the last meeting that she'd be happy to house the dog at home from time to time. If needed, so.
I'll come and walk the dog.
No, at your house.
I don't think she'll ever let Maui go. She is.
I like dogs, so I don't have an issue.
Oh, okay. And
She was here. Maui was here for our professional development.
Okay.
And the teachers loved her. Yeah.
You have about 625 new policies for us for the next meeting.
It was a lot,
I'm excited.
but they're all simple things.
I was doing the town report for the last year, and I realized that in March last year, we had about 40 new policies to approve. So is that an
It's
MASC thing? Where
they come out, so
Mostly
they,
updates and then some new.
They
March
come
is
out-
their month where they have the downtime.
well, so they come out with some in like the middle of November,
Right.
and then the holidays and stuff, and so, yeah, this is about that time.
I'm excited. All right, so moving on, Dr. Williams, strategic plan.
Great. So last Tuesday, we had our last stakeholders meeting to review the draft of the strategic plan. Minor changes and adjustments were made based on feedback we got from those in attendance, and we're now ready to share with you the strategic plan going forward through 2025.
I have to say, it was nice to hear everybody working together and going over this.
So I don't have any questions about this. Are there questions from the rest of the group? I know, Ellen, you were a part of this group.
Yeah, and Amanda was too.
Amanda was too.
Amanda was.
Is there anything,
Warren, were you also, or am I making that up? You were,
The first one I was at.
Yeah.
okay, all right.
Same here.
Yeah, I think most of us were.
how you like it, Tim?
I like it. Very thorough, comprehensive.
I hope so.
Yeah, I know, I'm sure you were happy to get back to making a plan because we haven't really been able to do much of that recently, so.
And we talked a little bit about the timing of this plan works nicely because the building principals can now use this to make their school improvement plans over the next couple of months for the following school year. So they'll be taking it to their school councils. As soon as the committee approves of it, then they'll be able to start working on their school improvement plans and have them ready to share before the start of next school year.
Now, you're not making any changes to your curriculum, I can't talk tonight, your curriculum review cycle at all, are you? Like, that's going to stay intact?
Yeah, we're actually just starting the new
Right.
cycle.
Now, is this, since you've created this process, is this now your second full-time around or first full-time?
Second, so
Second.
we started with science,
Yep.
and now we're going into next year will be science again.
Excellent, okay. So this is starting your second time around?
Yes.
then? Okay, excellent. Great.
So it shouldn't be as much of an overhaul, knowing it's only been 6
Right.
years, as opposed to some we were looking at materials that hadn't been updated for over a decade.
I'm trying to think, have the science standards been changed since 6 years ago? I don't think they
No.
have, no, all right. That's great.
Yeah, so
right.
I keep telling Mr. Shea it's not going to be as costly, but
I just wanted to thank you, Gina, and the principals and everyone who was there. I thought they were like super receptive to feedback from myself, from Ellen, from the other members of the community who came. And I also just want to, I think I mentioned this at the meeting, but, you know, for the committee to really take a look at these timelines, because there's a whole lot that's happening right now or has happened this year. And I think, you know, that's a real testament to the district's willingness to kind of just like, let's move on with, there's still a lot to get done, especially after the last 2 years, and that I think that's gonna play out really well with a lot of the plans that you have, so just to recognize that and say thank you.
great, thanks.
I did want to ask you, Safety Care caught my eye. Is that a new initiative in East Bridgewater, or is that?
So not too new. We used to do CPI.
Right.
Used to be our crisis prevention, and then we moved to safety care mainly because CPI did not seem appropriate for the younger kids. So I would say
We've been
it's
doing safety care for at least 3 or
maybe
4
about-
years.
Yeah, could be close to 4 or 5 years. So what we're working towards is having trained trainers in every building.
Yeah.
Right now, the assistant principals at Mitchell and Central, as well as at least 1 or 2 others. So now Mr. Taylor will be going through the train the trainer, as well as Mr. Powers, one of our behavior specialists.
Wasn't he was one of the trainers a long time ago.
Right, so it expired. They're very, safety care is
That's
very
crazy,
strict
yeah.
on their recertification guidelines, so unfortunately, he has to start all over again, but
And
it's
it's a
great
pretty
for us.
large binder,
Yeah.
what I remember.
Yeah, so there's a presentation piece where there's lessons that they learn, and then there's a physical component. So, but what's great is we pay to train the trainers, and then there's no other payments for us because they're doing in-house training for the staff. And we're constantly doing that just as we, you know, have new staff members come in.
Hats off to the trainers that are also doing 18,000 other things here, because every year when I go through that, I'm amazed at how much I've forgotten from the previous year, and they keep it, I mean, they always have the answers, they always are current with what needs to be done. It's a lot.
And Gina, I have one question. I was at the first meeting, not the second one, and we broke down into groups. So I think there's a lot of great work being done around implementing, recognizing diversity, incorporating that, all of that. Just one thing that I'm wondering about when it talks about the social justice standards, what is that being based on? And because I know it's coming up in June.
Yeah, so that's mostly at the elementary level
Okay.
at Central School. So Kate's DEI committee are focused on implementing that through their social studies standards.
Okay.
Is where, so it's based off of the Massachusetts curriculum frameworks.
Okay. No, I was just curious. So it's, why is it only at is it just because of how it's applied?
No, just because they've started
Okay,
work.
okay.
So it will have to
Okay,
filter out.
gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? This is extremely thorough and really, I'm trying to choose the right word.
Exhausting.
Exhausting. It's nice to see. It's just nice to see. It's spectacular. Yeah, it's just,
Well, it's that concrete piece that
Right.
everything we do can go back to this. The grant
Right.
writing that we do, the school improvement work that they do, and that was my, main message to the principals, is they need to be able to see all of these through the lens of their own buildings, even though they may look a little bit different, and that's why they have to personalize it with their school improvement plans.
But also for parents in the community, every parent is engaged at a different level and has different awareness. I mean, this is really a helpful snapshot. There are things that are going to continue to be developed and fall under these things that aren't documented line by line, but here is basically the roadmap to where we're continuing to move, so parents don't get the impression that it's just a haphazard, we're doing this, we're doing that, I think
And
that's
it really
important.
just comes down to those 3 things, where our main concerns are the health and wellness of students, the strong instruction that we provide, and the monitoring and assessments to show that progress is being made.
In all different areas and how they all tie together. And I think that's, really, really key.
We started this, we're always working on these types of things, but we started this when we took our administrators away at our retreat. And it was important for them, as it is for us, to make sure that we have a robust plan so that it can filter down through. So we know the direction that everybody's going, and so they're not, by no means do they call up and say, can I do this or can I do that on a daily basis. They know, they've got a good, and, we started this in August. We talk about it all the time. We always refer to this in our leadership team meetings, like where are we based on this? But they took a thoughtful look over the last couple of years and really put it into this.
You can tell.
Very pleased.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Dr. Williams.
You're welcome.
Public comment? Seeing no one here for public comment, we will move on. Did you want to make any public comments? Yes.
Yes, that was.
Public comment? Yeah, it's, oh, that's right, it wasn't laid in here. You're right, thank you. I take a motion to approve the proposed strategic plan for 2021 to 2025.
So moved.
Moved by Trista,
Second?
second by Amanda. She beat you to it. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I take a motion to approve the school committee minutes of March 8th, 2022. Moved by Amanda. Seconded. Second by Scott. All in favor? Aye.
I abstained because I wasn't.
Oh,
here.
yes, thank you. There was something else on there, I think you have. Nope, just that, all right. Take a motion to approve accounts payable warrant 39 SV dated 3/23/2022.
So moved.
Moved by Amanda,
Second?
second by Ellen. All in favor?
Aye.
Take a motion to approve payroll warrant 38 PS dated 3/16/2022.
So moved.
Moved by Amanda,
Second?
second by Ellen. All in favor?
Aye.
Take a motion to approve, to certify a level service school department budget for fiscal year '23 in the amount of $23,607,473.
So moved.
Moved by Trista. Second by Scott. All in favor?
Aye.
So there is paperwork in your packet from Reed's Collaborative to appoint Liz as the East Bridgewater representative on the Board of Directors. This is an annual thing. If you have any questions, are there any questions about that?
We do it every year.
We do, thank you. I take a motion to appoint Elizabeth L. Legault to serve as the East Bridgewater representative on the Board of Directors of Reed's Collaborative in accordance with the Mass General Laws, Chapter Section 4E, as amended by Chapter 43 of the Acts of 2012 for the 2022-2023 school year.
So moved.
Moved by Ellen,
Second.
second by Trista. All in favor?
Aye.
I already signed that letter and gave it to Joanne. All right.
Thank you.
Do you want to just talk for a second about the change in job description?
Sure. So if you look at the current job description and then the revised, and when we first came in, I think we got rid of some of these and we just made it very general. But as the district has grown over the last 7 years since I've been here, 6.5 years since I've been here, we have someone who monitors our information system. We have someone who monitors the all-around systems. We have someone that troubleshoots on a daily basis. We have someone who fixes. And this position does the information system for the district. And it really, there's a couple things on the security. That was one of the big things. We were saying that this person does the security of the system's information. They don't. They just make sure that it's accurate. It's secure, but we have someone else looking at it. Andrew Lamacchia does all of the security. We're also hooked in with the town, so we do a lot of that. So it's really, what we're trying to do is what the person really does in this position and try to reflect that in the accurate job description. They're not really a coordinator position, it's a manager, and different connotations come with you know, if you're a director, you make this, coordinator makes this, a manager makes this, somebody makes this. So we're just trying to human resource better for the district, and trying to clean some of these job descriptions up. Like I tried to clean up Barbara Polisi's job description. So we're just trying to.
And it wasn't a 12-month position before? I saw that's 41.
There was, right, this is a year-round position. And before it was 220 days like a elementary principal, so at that point, like, they could take time off in February, like, say, take 4 weeks off, and then, well, I'm gonna use all my time, I'm gonna go ski in Val, or something. I mean, that can happen, but most of the time, if you're a yearly employee, it's like, you know, you take time throughout the entire year. And we need that person here in the summer. I mean, this is a huge, this person, I usually tell this person, come the second week of August, there's no movement until this is done, and then the schedules are done. They're gonna start putting the schedule and the template in a couple of weeks, and they'll run it a couple of times to see it, because they're scheduling right now. So you gotta make sure that everything is up there, all the courses have been. Yeah.
Roll over earlier.
You're rolling over, yeah, but you're also looking at your course numbers, have they changed? Now she's got it, this person will have to go back in and make sure that what's in the book here on the schedule here, has to look at all the schedules at the other schools, make sure that the information is there.
Will this be a new employee, or are we just changing the job description of someone who's?
Changing the job description, we have
Okay.
someone in that position, but they're
Okay.
not a coordinator.
So this is basically like what the job actually is
Yes.
intended to be versus the old
Yeah.
version?
Yep.
Gotcha, okay.
Yep. It's really what they're doing now to compare to,
Like in practice
Yeah.
versus in theory?
yeah, what we thought,
Yeah, no.
but this is really what it is.
Okay.
As someone who does and did some of this work on the higher ed level, like, this position is so key, and I think this new job description is really great, and you must have a great person in there to also, you know, be willing to do this and really think about this for them, so, great work.
We made her do all of it first, and then we
Yeah.
said, now.
Now we'll.
Here's what I do.
So tell us what you do, and then we'll think about it. But, you know, everything comes with something, so we're trying to streamline and,
It's important, yeah.
I would take a motion to change the current job description of the district data coordinator to student information system manager.
So moved.
Moved by Ellen, second by Trista. All in favor? Thank you. And we have 2 out-of-state field trip requests. It's from Mrs. Byrne.
Central School.
It is great to see them going back to these trips again, so that's great.
I think I'm going on one of them, so.
Nice.
like
Right
the zoo.
down the street from you. so
Yeah, I
it's
like the
fun,
zoo, though.
yeah.
I think it's,
I did the zoo trip, it's fun.
Roger, what?
I love seeing the kids when they see a giraffe. It's just awesome.
Are these booked and everything? Because I know field trips are booking up quick right now.
Yeah, matter of fact, Kate brought this up the other day. She called up and said, yeah, we've got everything all set up and all of this, and she's like, I need my buses, I need this, so they've already, it's already been,
A lot of schools waited to find out if they could go, and now that they can, it's,
oh my God.
it's crazy.
That's what she was saying, because I just asked Andrew, we had them up here today, and
So I take a motion to approve Mrs. Burns' request for grade 1 students to be allowed to take an out-of-state field trip to Biomes Marine Biology Center in North Kingstown, Rhode Island on Thursday, June 9th and Friday, June 10th.
So moved.
Moved by Ellen,
Second.
second by Trista, all in favor?
I hope they have a great time.
if you want to go, let us know, you can ride the bus.
Action is required on Mrs. Burns, I'm sorry, I take a motion to approve Mrs. Burns' request for grade 2 students to be allowed to take an out-of-state field trip to Roger Williams Zoo in Providence, Rhode Island on Friday, June 3rd, 2022.
So moved.
Moved by Ellen, second by Trista, all in favor? Aye.
I hope they have a great time, too.
I hope so,
I'm
too.
glad they
That
get to
is
go.
graduation.
Do you know if Mitchell's planning any field trips?
I believe he's going to. I don't know if anything's come up yet, but that was the conversation a couple weeks ago, and then today I had asked him, I said, you ready to go? She said, people are just excited. I hope that they do.
I hope so too. I mean, the third graders, they didn't get, it hurts my heart a little bit. I'm like, oh, these guys get to go to Biomes in the zoo, and my third grader missed out on all this.
All
I'm
of
like,
it.
can the third graders do something, please?
Yeah.
They've never been on a field trip.
Wow.
And if you have a pool party at the Foster House for all the third graders, is that what it is?
If you want to have a pool party in a mud puddle, sure.
I have a question. Any idea of when the, it's probably really premature because it's only March still, of any, and you might, maybe it's up to the principal, about any senior walkthrough or anything for the end of
Yeah.
the year?
So they're planning that. There will be one. Graduates on June 3rd, which is Friday. They usually do it the day before, or maybe that morning of, depending on what he does for his rehearsals and what that week looks like for the seniors, if he does a cookout, or if he, whatever he's going to do. So if he does it Thursday, he'll walk through and do a cookout. I think they did that a couple of years ago when it was nice out. They did a cookout. Last year it rained. I believe it
It
rained
started to pour right at the end.
right
of
at the end,
senior
because we
walk.
came through and all the
Yeah.
kids
So
had
they usually
posters.
have about 3 days of
Yeah.
rehearsals, and during those
Yeah.
3 days, one
One
of
of
the
the
days,
days.
they'll do their walk.
And I'm pretty sure that one day that they did that, they came back in a barbecue.
I know I watched it a few times. I really enjoyed watching it. It was really nice to watch them go through, and the band played. It was nice.
The younger kids get excited to see them.
Yeah.
And the older kids like to see the teachers.
You good?
I'm awesome.
Awesome. Take a motion to close the meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Amanda. Second by Trista. All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Don't forget to come see the play this weekend.
All shook up?